Welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to a series of previews that we're going to be doing on the Manchester City game. Now or never, that is what I've named this clash. And to be honest, it is our only chance of getting 6 points clear of Manchester City with a game in hand. I think we need now to forget all the panic. We need to forget all the losses, all the emotions, and focus on this game. Mikel Arteta has been speaking about it, a couple of very, very huge points that he said, but I think the most interesting one is about the VAR decision that was taken against Arsenal on the Brentford game. And he said that is a lack of understanding of your job. That is not a human error. We're going to be diving into that because Lee Mason this season has actually given 2 VAR decisions against Arsenal in the same season. It's quite remarkable. But hit the like button, subscribe to the podcast as well, and in the comment section, let me know what you think about Mikel Arteta's comments on the VAR decision against Brentford. Now, first and foremost, he was asked about that decision. And he says, after analyzing the images, we had a huge anger and disappointment because that wasn't a human error. That was a big, big case of not understanding your job. That's unacceptable. That cost us 2 points. That are not going to be restored. So we are going to have to find those 2 points somewhere else in the league. And it says, but at the same time, we appreciate the apology and the explanation, which was really, really open. To be fair, we got a lot of sympathy from a lot of colleagues in the industry in football, and we cannot play with the integrity of the game in the way that we do. That's it. We have to move on now. It has been made the players, the staff, and our fans even stronger, and with the desire to pass, to pass this hurdle that they have actually put on us. We are actually very, very ready. So, look, I agree with Mikel there. I've looked at those images personally throughout the weekend, and I'm still asking myself how. That is the big question. How there are 3 incidences of offside and none of them is actually flagged. The linesman doesn't look at the runs of those Brentford players. They're coming from offside positions. The block is offside. Everything that's happening in the penalty area just has to stop, right? So Mikel says it's a clear indication that the guy doesn't understand his job. And what I can confirm this, this evening, or this, I don't know, Lee Mason will not be, part of the VAR team this weekend. Not in any game. He's been dropped for the weekend fixtures, and I think that's quite a very, very good punishment. But it needs to be more than that. They need to do more than that. Some of these guys need to be sacked. I'm looking at the VAR in the Brighton game. He has been given VAR, responsibility in a game against Manchester City. It just doesn't make any sense. It really, really doesn't. But Mikel says, that wasn't a human error. Now, moving on, Mikel on whether he's satisfied with the incident, like that won't happen again. And he says, I will only be satisfied if they give me the 2 points back, which is not going to be the case. I appreciate, and I think they were really, really sincere, open and genuine apologies and explanations, which is really good, but it doesn't take the fact that we have 2 points less than we should have on the table, right? That is quite very, very open from Mikel. I think, look, this is the first time I've looked at him after a very long period of time, and, he's frank with the Premier League, and he's frank, with PGMOL. In most cases, anything concerning the officials, he's very, very careful. But this time, he says, unless you give me the 2 points back, everything is not going to be okay. On whether VAR is fit for the purpose, it says, when I see the reaction of Howard Webb, the PGML and the Premier League had, and how genuine it was, with that anger, they want to do the best they can, and they understand everything that is at stake. I think at the end it will help. Hopefully, we can use that to make the game better, to have more integrity, more professionals, and better professional players, and really pay attention to details that matter, because at the end of the day, that has significant output on results. Personally, I don't think VAR is ever gonna work the way we want it, but I don't think it's ever gonna go away. So if you're seated there and you're like, the more mistakes they make, the bigger the likelihood that it will go away. That's a lie. It will never go away. It earns them a lot of money. There is a lot of money, that some companies getting from, the Premier League on VAR. So VAR is not going to go away. But what I would say is, how about the automated, offside thing? How about that one? They use it in the Champions League. I like it. We used it at the World Cup. Kind of liked it, right? So how about the semi-automated, offside rule? As long as you're offside, it's easy to detect. Doesn't take a lot of hours. It doesn't take a lot of minutes to detect who's offside and who's onside. Like these guys who are forgetting to draw lines. I think we should go with the automated offside VAR, and then with fouls, then we can actually use the video assistant referee, because that calls for a lot of subjectivity. But for me, you cannot fail. If you're VAR, you cannot fail at offsides. You simply cannot. On whether he's used the incident to galvanize the squad, Mikhail says that was the reaction straight away from everybody. We cannot do anything about it. Don't use it as an excuse. Try to move on, face it, and go for it. That is it. On team news, it says everybody we had from the previous game is available so far. Unless something strange happens today, we are looking forward to the game. So, I mean, I don't expect any injuries, but I thought Thomas Partey maybe played with an injury, but it looks like he didn't. And it didn't actually look 100% fit. Played very, very well in that game, maybe. I really can't find evidence to back him up, but I still feel he's not back to the levels at which we know him. And you look at his role, Casemiro's role, and Rodri's role. The reason as to why they receive the most passes, and they're also the biggest passers in terms of amount, is how vital their role is to the team. But team news, no one is actually out. Everybody is in. Okay. Mikhail says on whether he's close to changing the team. He says that's more determined by the results, but for us, it's more about performances and what players have given to us to take us to the position we are in today. They deserve opportunities. Obviously, we are looking to give players opportunities that they deserve. You talked about Leo. We are talking about anybody who has had minutes in this league. There will be changes. It will happen, and very, very soon. Okay. So we are expecting some changes to the team. Mikhail says we should expect some changes to the team. Trossard, I think that's what we are talking about here. Maybe Fabio Vieira for Xhaka. I think Xhaka needs to be rotated as well. Ever since he came from the World Cup, different player. His performances have gone down. He doesn't look the player he was prior to the World Cup. I think he needs to be rotated. Granit Xhaka, just rotate him. For me, 2-3 games, and then he will be fine. Because the next game we have is after Manchester City. Then we take on is it Aston Villa and then Leicester City. I think Fabio Vieira can't play in those games. I also thought Fabio Vieira should have played in that Brentford game, because Xhaka is so off. But what worries me is when Fabio Vieira comes onto the pitch, he also doesn't give that much, especially when it comes in as a substitute. So I think Mikel has a selection dilemma, around there. On the mood of the team training this week, it says there is a great energy. I sensed it, and after I arrived, I sensed it after we arrived from the Brentford game. From the start, around the club there was a mixture of anger and a desire to play the next game. So we need to use that for tomorrow. Okay, all right. On what City's biggest, on what is City's biggest threat? He said they as a team, what they have done in the last 6 years, they have absolutely merit. They absolutely merit it on the pitch, and the way they play, the way they have competed, and how they have gone through difficulties. For us, the challenge is to go to that level, and we need to use that challenge and that energy to say this is where we want to be. This is the level, and we are heading towards it. Okay, I think if you ask one person who knows Manchester City, I think better than anyone, apart from Pep Guardiola, it should be Mikel Arteta. He's worked there. He's worked under Pep Guardiola. He's signed a few players there. And he understands the system. How they always beat us under Mikel Arteta is still a big question. But I reckon this clash, us to Manchester City, will reach a time when, if they don't get relegated, if they're found not guilty, it might be one of the biggest clashes in the next 2-3 years, because our quality is coming up. Our squad is very young and we're still adding more players. And then Manchester City's squad, of course, they have already arrived. They are already where they want to be, right? On never having beaten Guardiola before, Mikel says it's for the team, the club, and where we are. For me personally, it's not about beating one manager. It's about beating the next opponent. And in this case, it is Manchester City. Look, he will be looking to beat Manchester City for the very, very first time as an Arsenal boss. But I don't know. I don't know how he looks at it. Does he go, this is the time where I have to beat Manchester City, I'm top of the league and have a very, very good team? Or does he go, whatever the results, as long as we don't lose? Because it's two-way tomorrow. If we don't lose, good news. If we win, good news. The only bad news is if City score early and go on to win the game. I think that is the only bad news we can get. Okay, on what he expects from the Emirates crowd tomorrow, he says we will play with 15 players tomorrow. They are so into it with every single ball and giving us energy and support, and basically everything they have been doing. Let's enjoy it. It's a beautiful night on a really, really special day. On what he has learned from adversity, he says we've had a few moments in the past, as well as where we've learned a few or a lot, especially the people that we have in the team and the type of characters they have, how much they care about their profession and how close they are to each other, and how clear the ambition and the purpose of what they do every single day to win. On whether City's style will suit us, it says, I hope so. Obviously, they have totally different qualities and game styles, but every team faces challenges. On being against Guardiola on the touchline, it says, I just want to win tomorrow. On whether they expected to be in this position at the start of the season, it said, if I told you that at the start of the season, I would doubt it. I would hope, but I would be doubtful but this is where we are. We have earned it, and now we have to move every single day and try to improve what we have to do. So that's Mikel Arteta and his press conference. A couple of quotes as well, but I think that is what is that is what I expected to see. On Emile Smith-Rowe's coming back, says I will write I'll write the list now, so I'll make that decision whether Emile Smith-Rowe will actually be available for that game. I don't want us to rush him. I think Leandro Trossard on that left-hand side is doing very well. Maybe Emile playing down through the middle, because we lack quality and we also lack numbers, especially where Xhaka plays. I kind of also feel like if you have Emile Smith-Rowe playing where Xhaka plays, it might add a little bit more quality. I think he's a quality player. Yeah, at times, he disappears in games, but when he clicks, it really, really clicks. And of course, the way he interchanges with Gabriel Martinelli, and the way he interchanges with Gabriel Jesus and Edin Ketia would also be something very, very interesting to see. So let's wait and see how the team will look tomorrow.